Michigan took care of business at Rutgers 52-17, and you're looking at that, you're not surprised. The box score probably reads about how you would like it to, but I think there's some things that we can take away from this win, some things that we're continuing to learn about this program as they just continue to trend upward week after week. It feels like they're surging. Went on the road to the birthplace of college football, got a very definitive win against a Rutgers team that I promise you gave them their absolute best punch. That's where I want to start. Michigan, week in and week out, just the nature of having the winged helmet, you're going to get your best punch from anybody and everybody. I promise you, Rutgers has had November 5th on their calendar as soon as they got it, scheduled, circled, highlighted, starred, all of that. And they gave it to Michigan. Let's just call it what it is. They were up at half 14-17. They blocked a punt. They tried an onside kick. Like they were throwing the kitchen sink at Michigan. And credit to that program. Credit to Michigan. Like Jim Harbaugh said in his post-game press conference, they didn't flinch. He singled out J.J. McCarthy, said he's like Iceman. And yes, this is impressive because from a personnel standpoint, you would say if you played this game 100 times, Michigan probably wins 99, maybe even 100 of them. But in this scenario, they had them on the ropes just a little bit. If you want to talk about the scoreboard, 14-17. And it would have been very easy for an immature program, a team that has a lot of newness with new coordinators, a lot of new guys on defense, a new quarterback. There would have been a lot of opportunity, and nobody would have blamed them to panic a little bit and have some nervousness and have that nervousness reflect itself on the field into mistakes and pressing. I saw none of that from Michigan. Michigan, according to Jim Harbaugh, went into that locker room, was quiet, got their mind right. Final score was 52-17. Need I say more? So yes, again, obviously personnel probably went how you would expect it to, but the way they were able to respond and not flinch and not panic, that tells me that's a mature culture. Because the program itself, from a personnel standpoint in terms of experience and games played, it's not mature. J.J. McCarthy's never been a starting quarterback at the college level before. You have a lot of guys on that defense that have not been starters before. Like there's so much about this culture that impressed me from how Michigan responded to that really solid punch that Rutgers threw in the first half of this game. The defense, they just turned the water off. It was 14-17 at half. They didn't score a point the rest of the way. And the fact that Michigan was able to adjust so effectively on defense really encourages me about the trajectory of them going forward. I'm JD Piquel. This is the Hard Count. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, we'd love to have you along for the ride. Thank you to the Michigan fans that have. If you haven't, come join the party. We have a real good time. Going back to the defense, what this equates to for me is like a strong kick at the end of the 400-meter race, to use a track example. 400-meter race, one lap around the track. All great competitors will have a really strong kick, meaning like a little bit more surge of speed and energy at the end of the race. Saw that for Michigan with how they adjusted. Rutgers found something they like. Maybe it was matchup-wise or whatever you want to call it in terms of getting a couple explosive pass plays. And like we said, they got up in the game. No panic from Michigan. Like we said, they adjusted and had a strong kick in the second half. 3 interceptions in that third quarter completely changed the complexion of the game. And so if Michigan's able to continue to adjust like we've seen them do this year, it's going to make them dangerous for everybody else that they have left on their schedule, including Ohio State. Because what that means for your competitor, if you're playing Michigan, it means you have to come into the game with multiple answers in your game plan. Like, hey, if we get something working in the first half against Michigan, guess what? It may not be there in the third quarter because of how well we've seen them adjust. And so what does that mean? You got to commit more to your preparation, and you have to spend more time in practice, and you got to try and get more game plans into your kids' heads. Like there's a lot that is just inconvenient about that. And so Michigan being able to adapt effectively, especially in this game, you're encouraged. In this game, yes, but for the future, I think it bodes really well for that program and for that defense to play as well as they did. Hats off to them. So here's the last thing I want to say. The Michigan run game, you know it and I know it, it's freakish, right? Blake Corum's a dog. He should be in the Heisman conversation. Donovan Edwards, another dog, ran for over 100 yards as well. This run game is freakish. This run game to me is just like State Farm. Like a good neighbor, gets into the second quarter, third quarter, it's going to be there. Regardless of how that first half went, you know in that third and fourth quarter, you can lean on your dogs on that offensive line and the run game. It's going to wear a program out because I promise you, as a linebacker, if you're sitting there and you see for the 15th time that day, you got to defend power with those big offensive linemen coming downhill, Blake Corum's toting the rock behind you, you don't want to see that. And so it's just a matter of time. We're just going to lean on you, lean on you, lean on you. It's not fun to defend. So there's two things why I think that's impactful. The first of which, that's a mentality and a persona this program loves to embody. I promise you, to just say, we're going to snap the ball, and guess what? Our big people are going to move you against your will while our bullish running backs get downhill, and you got to try and stop that. You can't, so let's play ball. Like, that's an attitude and a persona of having an edge and just a blue-collar mentality this program loves. It's a toughness, right? All great programs have it. Jim Harbaugh has it. This run game has it. The second thing is it allows you to be much more multiple in terms of the games you can play, right? Like the tempo of the game is controlled by Michigan at that point with what they do running the football. They can say, we're going to do play action and be quick strike, and next thing you know, you're down 21 points. Or maybe in this last game of the year, when you have an explosive offense on the other sideline, scoring 45 plus a game, you're saying, you know what? We're just going to take our time, and we're going to shorten this game. And C.J. Stroud and company, you're going to have to watch a lot of what happens on the field because Blake Corum picked up another first down on third down, the fifth conversion of this drive, and you just got to hang out, my man. I know it's cold, but that's the way this thing goes. Another way that Michigan can play the football game. Multiple prongs to how they want to attack. And I'll just throw this in there because we keep talking about it. J.J. McCarthy didn't look like he was, lighting up the stat sheet, was super composed, but you and I both know there was a couple things that don't show up in the stat sheet that he did in this game that were very, very nearly some big plays. The throw to Schoonmaker was a great throw that ended up being a drop. It was a tough catch, but maybe you should bring that in. What happens if he connects on that? Some other deep shots during the game, which are this close to being connected. When those do connect, I'll just say this. When it comes to the deep passing game, when it rains, it pours. And when that gets in rhythm in an in-game scenario, it just adds another layer to what you can do off of that rushing attack. So for Michigan, took care of business, took the first punch from Rutgers, didn't flinch, no panic, mature culture. The defense adjusted. It's great in this kind of game. We've seen them do it multiple times. It's going to be a problem for the opposition going forward, and it is a huge advantage for that program. And finally, the run game is an insurance. And they continue to lean on it, and they know it's going to be there, especially in that third and fourth quarter. It's a great way to win a football game. Again, I'm J.D. Piquel. This has been the Hard Count. Nick Brake does the heavy lifting. You can help drive this whole operation by subscribing to the channel. We go live Tuesday and Thursdays, 1 Central, 2 Eastern. Come join us. We have a real good time. We fire up the live chat. We make sure we get to all your thoughts, questions, concerns. We have a real good time, so come join us. Until then, we're going to keep the party rolling, and we will see y'all next time. Hey, y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.